Alright, so we're doing 7 for nth roots. In practice will be page 434, numbers 12, 13, 15, 27, 29, 31, and 35. So open up to 7-4. Here again, first page is going to be more of a handout dealio, less where you actually have to write stuff down. But basically, so we have these radicals, we have these powers that we've been talking about, right? For example, x to the third equals 64. Well, what's x? What number to the third equals 64? Well, it's 4. 4 times 4 times 4 equals 64. In words, we say 4 is the cube root of 64, right? And it kind of looks like if you took the cube root of 64, it equals 4. Same thing if we had, what's the fourth root of 625? Well, you find out it's 5. 5 times 5 times 5 times 5 is 625. This is the general case. So, right, for this first part, a is just x, n is 3, and this b is 64. A is the nth root of b. It works out for everything then. So, for our example, negative 3 to the fourth equals 81. So, negative 3 then, right, negative 3 is the a, is the fourth root of 81. Right, we're just filling in the blank here. So again, this works out. The general case always works out for this. We kind of have a couple things. If a is greater than 0, well, n is even, you're going to have one unique positive real root. You're going to have one unique negative real root. If n is odd, you'll have one unique positive real root and 0 unique negative real roots, and so on and so forth. With this little chart to help you as we're trying to solve these, what's going to be our answer, how are we going to find it. The symbol right here, where it's the square root and there's an n right there, that's the nth root. We also call this part the index. So if I ever say index, I'm talking about what number is n. The radical sign, that's just this. You'll always have that there. And then the radicand is the number that's inside here. Some things to note for the examples here. So we have the square root of 25 equals 5. The square root, basically there's a negative sign, and then the square root. We're asking for the opposite of the principal root, or the opposite of just the regular. What are you going to get when you have the square root? And then the plus or minus. This is kind of what we've always gone with classic. If you have the negative here, just know your final answer is going to have that negative then. So if you flip the page, do some examples. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So number 1, notice these are just square roots here. So we know this is going to be an exact square root. I'm going to have the plus or minus. What I like to do is break this up into two parts. You have the number, and you have the variable. So you have the square root of 100 and the square root of y to the 8th. You can break these up every time like that, which we'll do for the next examples. But then you have plus or minus the square root. Square root of 100 is 10. Taking the square root of this, we know that the square root is 2, right? The number in here, the little index is 2. So you just take 8 divided by the index, 8 divided by 2, and you're left with y to the 4th. That shouldn't be a square root anymore, so your answer should actually be that. Sorry about that. Yeah, once you take the square root symbol is gone. So it's plus or minus 10 y to the 4th. Number 2, we do have the negative, so we're going to end with a negative. But again, you can break this up. We're doing square roots. So you have the square root of 49, the square root of u to the 8th, and we have the square root of v to the 12th. The square root of 49 is just 7. 8 divided by 2 is u to the 4th, and 12 divided by 2 is v to the 6th. Again, why does this work? Well, the square root is actually basically, as an exponent, it's to a half. So when you're doing the product of exponents, you would have 8 times a half, which is 4. This final part now. Number 3 is a little bit more trickier, right? You have negative 16. Notice how the negative is inside the square root. So you're going to have a negative 16 square root and then a y to the fourth. The square root of negative 16 is plus or minus 4i. And then you're going to have y squared there. 4 divided by 2, y squared. Alright. I'm going to let you try 4 on your own once I'm finished looking at these two. Now 5 is a little bit more, right? The square root, now we have to the fourth. But the same rules apply. So I'm just going to break it up. So I have the fourth root of 16, the fourth root of g to 16, and the fourth root of h to the 24th. For this first one, this is going to be the most difficult part, is what number multiplied with itself 4 times is going to get us 16. What number to the fourth root will get us 16? That is 2. 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 will get us 16. So you get 2 there. To find this one, right before we just took whatever the exponent was and divided by the index, which was 2. This time we're going to do the same thing, we just divide by 4. So 16 divided by 4 is just 4, so we have g to the fourth. And same thing here, we would have h to the sixth. So that would be your final answer for 5. I'm going to let you try 6 on your own as well. Use this as a whole. So how like h to the 24th, imagine this just as h. Try it out. Your final answer for 6 should be 16 y to the third plus 2. And for 4, it should be plus or minus 2g to the 6th, h to the 12th. 6 is going to be more rigorous than 4. 4 you should be able to get quite easily. Other than that, that's really 7/4, just simplifying radicals. You can start your independent practice. Yeah. Any quick tips? If you're getting low back pain, it might not be because of your low back. It could be because of your hamstrings. It happened to me. I'm getting old, so I'm starting to realize these things.